the Irrational Confidence Podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. We're talking college football, and oh my gosh, it's week number 8. We are already cruising along. Who knew we'd get this far into the season this quickly? Well, time waits for nobody. I'm joined by my co-host, Chris. How you doing, buddy?
Once onto the breach here. Big week ahead for everybody across the country. A lot of Big 12 action this week.
Cannot wait.
Dive in. A lot of Big 10 last week. But there's 2 or 3 big matchups in the Big 12 that are really going to shape the landscape of the conference the rest of the way. So that among many other games, but really looking forward to breaking down the action. Another loaded up slate on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, fresh. This is a sneaky good weekend. Usually we have these big time weekends. Week 7 and week 8 are both monstrous. And it's usually Halloween weekend that we get these scary good matchups. And it's seen that we're kind of closer in October as well. I still am a little leery because everyone's using the AP votes right now. And there are some major flaws in the AP votes and how teams are ranked with some of these things that have been pointed out on social media. Get it? We could spend a whole time talking about that. But again, the rankings are there. I guess it's the only thing we got, so we got to go with it. But they suck. So let's roll into this one right now. We're going to lead off the day, probably one of the bigger matches, probably the biggest matchup in the SEC this weekend is going to be the Ole Miss Rebels traveling to Athens, Georgia to face the Georgia Bulldogs. Ole Miss 6-0 on the season, 3-0 in the SEC. Georgia is 5-1 on the season, 3-1 in the SEC. At time of record, Georgia is a 7.5 point favorite. I also see it might have moved to 8.5. It's right there at that line. Over under is set at 54.5 here. This is a big time matchup here, Fresh. Second game that there's 3 games that everyone circled on the calendar early on the season about teams coming into Athens, Georgia. The first one was Alabama. The second one's Ole Miss. Third one later on in the season is the Texas Longhorns here. Ole Miss has looked good since they have made the quarterback switch there. Trinidad has been absolutely phenomenal at times, and he still needs to be a little bit better of a passer there. But Kerwin Lacey run the football, 8 rushing touchdowns on the year. I'm intrigued to see how Georgia handles this game, and I'm intrigued to see how Ole Miss handles this game. I'm wondering if Ole Miss is going to play this very similar to the LSU game. Georgia, what are they going to do? What type of scheme are they going to use in this matchup against Ole Miss? What do you got for me, Fresh?
This test for Georgia is going to be, they cannot afford to start slow again. Started slow versus Tennessee, were able to survive. Started slow versus Alabama, almost got back into it. And they started slow versus Auburn and were able to beat a team that just collapsed like a house of cards. You can't do that versus Ole Miss. You cannot go out there and get down 17-0, 10-0, because the one thing that they do have is they have a running game, and Georgia struggles with running quarterbacks. That team's going to have to find ways to get going from the very, very start of the football game, which we haven't really seen in a long time. I kind of tried to look back. Slow starts versus Notre Dame, Tennessee, Bama, Auburn. The only times I can remember outside of the Kentucky game was the Texas game. For some reason, last year, the only game that Georgia got going early on was Texas. They obviously slowed. They scored a touchdown, had a turnover, and then got blown away by Ole Miss last year. So it's just sort of it's a different moxie of the team, but they're going to have to come out and start fast. Offensively, they're going to run the football. They're going to try to bludgeon you on the line of scrimmage. They haven't used the tight ends as much. They've used the receivers a little bit. Gunner's proved that he can throw. But you're going to have to be able to score some points in this ball game because Ole Miss is going to score some points. Georgia's second half adjustments have proven extremely beneficial. Shut out Auburn, shut out Alabama, and extremely neutralize Tennessee in the second half in that game. Is that defense, are the adjustments going to be able to withstand again this week? They're going to have to find ways to really run the ball. This Ole Miss defense is not like last year's Ole Miss defense, especially at the line of scrimmage. Last year's Ole Miss front was ridiculously good, and they proved it. If Georgia can run the football and lean on that front for Ole Miss, it's going to give them some length and some ability to play what we all know is Kirby ball. Kirby ball is just going to run the football. He doesn't care about how many points are on the scoreboard as long as he has one more than the opponent. They're going to be more physical, bludgeoning. But this is where's that mindset? Right now, Georgia might not be the prettiest football team in the country. I know they tweeted out in the first half they did not look very good, probably the worst in Kirby's era, but they fight for a full 60 plus. We saw that last year in the Georgia Tech game. We saw it last year in the SEC title game versus Texas. We've seen it every game this year. They're a learning group. They are young. They are fighting, but they are going to battle you for a full 60, and they're not going to quit. They could have laid down versus Auburn. They could have laid down versus Alabama. They could have laid down versus Tennessee, and they battled back every single time and made them ball games and won 2 out of those 3. So that's their battle-tested bunch. They're going to make mistakes, but can they just be able to use their offensive line, use their little ray on that running game to punish Ole Miss? Chambliss at quarterback is a beast. You mentioned Lacey in the grad game. The 2 of them are a lethal 1-2 punch. Georgia struggles with running quarterbacks. How is that going to come into play? Can they find ways to use their backers, the safeties, to come down and be able to get after them? The defensive line is going to have to be able to plug up the A-gaps, plug up the interior, and force to the edges where the backers can rally and tackle. I got a feeling this is the one game at Ole Miss. If they win this thing, it might as well put them in the playoff. You go, start 7-0 with the road win at Georgia. You beat LSU. You're going to be in a good spot because the rest of their schedule is going to allow them to hopefully navigate if they do prevail on Saturday, and probably even puts them in a good spot to play for an SEC title, which they've never done before. But I can see right now, Lane Kiffin knows I have to take some shots at the Georgia secondary, which has shown to be porous at times or inexperienced. And if they can wear that down, that's going to allow the running game, because then eventually you're going to start bringing guys. And you're going to start weighing things down on the Georgia defense. So I got a feeling they're going to take some shots, use Chambliss' legs a lot. And if they run the football, they keep Gunner Stockton on the side, and they start wearing down the Georgia defense. Athens are going to have to be loud. They're going to have to be intimidating. But knowing Lane Kiffin, they've traveled to LSU, they've traveled to Alabama. They've made those road trips. It won't be that big of a test, but they have looked vulnerable. They were tough versus LSU, but LSU's offense has really struggled. If Georgia's offense can be a little more fine-tuned and play solid defense, it's going to make this a ball game. It's not the Ole Miss team from last year, but this is not the Georgia team from last year. Both these teams have some inexperience and warts, if you will, at a national level that allow them to really be vulnerable. I get a feeling this is going to be another brawl. It will not be a blowout like the past 2 years have been, where Georgia dominated 2 years ago and Ole Miss dominated last year. I think this is going to be like a field goal ball game. That 8.5 makes me shake my head. I think Georgia wins by 3, like a 27-24 kind of game. It'll be another battle through the 4 quarters. The toughness of the Dogs, which is shown, and that will end up prevailing. The experience and the toughness and the grind is going to be what carries the day for the Dogs. But Ole Miss will put up a fight on Saturday afternoon.
Fresh, I think you have a couple of great points that you lead on here. I'm intrigued to see what type of game plan Lane Kiffin comes out with this one for Ole. Are they going, and I wonder if they're going to make this mistake. Is Lane Kiffin going to put the ball into the hands, and he's going to think that they can throw the ball against this Georgia secondary? Is he going to put the ball in Chambliss' hands early on in this football game? And next thing you know, Trinidad has thrown the ball for 15 times in the first 3 drives. Like, they go away from the run game. Because you want, again, Kid is still a younger quarterback. You still want to run the football, establish the run game, and then use his legs and use his ability to roll out of the pocket and test the Georgia secondary. Again, with a scrambling quarterback, I think back to someone like Randall Cunningham, where Randall Cunningham maybe was able to run the football at times, but his biggest thing was the ability to get outside the pocket, extend plays with his legs, and the quarterbacks come for a lot longer than what they needed to. Is he able to do that? Is he able to push this where it causes that secondary to make mistakes or make issues with him? I'm worried that Lane Kiffin is going to just try to throw the football and not establish that run game. On the other side, we've been asking for this. Georgia needs to commit to the run early and often and force this front four of Ole Miss to stop their rushing attack. We also need to see a little more dominant offensive line play by the Georgia Bulldogs. The other thing I want to see in this game, again, Gunner Stockton only 6 touchdown passes on the season. He does have 6 with his legs, but only 2 of the 6 touchdowns have come in the first half of the football game. I want to see him get into a groove earlier. Again, people are going to applaud what his ability to throw the ball in the Tennessee game in the second half in there. I want to see him throw for a couple of touchdown passes early on this football game. Make Ole Miss sometimes maybe play after play, catch up there, because you're going to have to strike when Ole Miss punts the ball away or turns the ball over. You're going to have to strike when the iron's hot. Georgia cannot start slow. You cannot let Ole Miss get up 21-0 in Athens or 17-0 in Athens. You can't let that happen. I trust Kirby to make the right adjustments. I really have a hard time believing that Georgia's going to lose twice in Athens. This would be a huge deal if they do. I would take Ole Miss in the points. I don't like 7.5 with Ole Miss. Their offense is too good, but I do like Georgia to win the game outright. So give me Georgia. I'm with you, right around a field goal type of game. 3-4 points max.
And you look at this, we talk about young quarterback Chambliss. This is his first real true road start. They played at Kentucky. He didn't play in that game that often. They had LSU at home, and they had Arkansas at home. This is going to be a big challenge for him. And that's where that crowd noise has got to come in and challenge that young offense for Ole Miss, because they have tons of talent, and their defense has shown inexperience this year. They let Arkansas go up. They should have actually lost to Arkansas. But you have to be yourself and just play and attack them. Do not let them be the aggressor if you're the Georgia Bulldogs.
All right, Fresh, let's go to another really intriguing football game this weekend. It's a rematch of the ACC title game. The SMU Mustangs, they're 4-2 on the season, but they're 2-0 in ACC play. The Clemson Tigers, the mayors of Fraudville, are 3-3 on the season. They are 2-2 in the ACC. At time of record, Clemson is a 9.5 point home favorite in this game. Over-under is set at 54.5 here. Fresh, I've been riding the SMU wave for a while, and Clemson seems like they've been just an absolute joke of themselves there. People are going to say, listen, it's Halloween. SMU's playoffs hopes are in the graveyard already, in my opinion. I mean, something crazy is going to happen. They got 3 losses all in ACC play right now. I just don't, or 2 losses in ACC play. I don't see them win the ACC, and I don't see them win enough games to where they make a statement for the committee to put them in there. So they are in the graveyard there. But SMU, we haven't talked a ton about SMU this year. What are you seeing out of the Mustangs?
Well, they're not what they were last year. And I think that has proven that. Learned when they played Penn State in the playoff that the line of scrimmage was a serious deficiency. And losing Brashard Smith in the running game has really hurt this team. They have not looked the same. They have 2 losses, though, to Baylor in double overtime and to TCU by 11 points. So they've actually had some tough competition. They play tough, but they aren't the same team as last year. But the one bright spot is they're still in the ACC race for a bid to the title game. They get this, and they get revenge for the ACC championship game last year. They're 2-0 in the league. They're 2-0, become 3-0, and keep themselves alive in that conversation to play Miami Hurricanes and Charlotte. And that's all you can ask for. The one thing that I have in my mind is Rhett Lashley's mind on SMU. Right now, we're in coaching search. Mm-hmm. And yes, they have tons of money as a boosters, but I'm not going to lie. If you are any coach, you see Auburn money in Auburn's situation or Florida situation or even Arkansas situation. I'll explain in a second why I have that in a minute. That's more attractive than being the 5th team in the state of Texas or the 4th team in the state of Texas. And you also look at the ACC. This year, Georgia Tech and 9 are probably in. But last year, you had 2 teams in. How many more years is the ACC with the least amount of money in the media deal going to keep around and and become a 2-bid league? Where do you run? Because he grew up in Arkansas, tons of connections to Arkansas. He coached at Auburn under Gus Malzahn during their run. And Florida's looking for a team, and Florida's looking for a head coach. They will be at least when Billy Napier gets fired. And he's an offensive guy, and Florida loves offense. So is his mind on the Mustangs, or is his mind on potentially looking somewhere else? You look at the quarterbacks. Jennings is not having the year that he had last year. And that's why this team, I think, has 2 losses. He has 6 interceptions so far. He had 11 in 14 games last year, so the turnovers are a little bit kicked up. He has not used his legs as much. He has 37 carries for 5 yards. He's been sacked 11 times this season. Last year, he had 101 carries for 354 and 5 touchdowns. He was only sacked 14 times in 14 games. And a couple of his interceptions last year and a couple of the sacks, a bunch of them all came versus Penn State. So the numbers even in the regular season were even much better. So he's obviously stressing right now. There's a little bit off. And this is an environment that they never had to travel to last year. They never had to go until they went to Penn State and play at a hostile environment as SMU. Going to Clemson, there's still talent on that roster. Whether the coaches are smart or not is a different question. I think they're idiots. It's still going to be a hostile environment. You're still going to have to be able to buckle down and take advantage and attack the day. You've beaten Syracuse, which, you know what, tip of the cap because Clemson didn't, but you beat Stanford. This is a turning point for Rhett Lashley and how he's going to be seen at SMU. You lose this game, you're probably out of the ACC title game race because Georgia Tech has a clear path and Miami has a clear path. Then you're going to just be wandering in the midst, and where's that put you? You have to come out, you have to attack Clemson vertically, horizontally, all day long. You have got to beat them down. They are a wounded animal. You have got to release and come after them. Leave it. Put everything in the bag out to display. Do not hide anything. Do not waver. Attack. Because Clemson is a wounded animal. So if you get them down, they are going to collapse. They collapse for Syracuse. And that's a statement. Even though the past 2 games, they've given up 10 points in each, but that's 10 points in Boston College and 10 points in North Carolina. You and I could probably call a defense to allow 10 points to both those schools. This is a chance for you right now to attack a wounded animal and to get payback for last year. But you have to be aggressive. You have to be who you are as a play caller and let your defense then play in a cover 3, cover 4 format where you have a nice lead and you can play some coverage. You cannot get in a shootout or a physical grudge match with Clemson. Clemson, when they were desperate last year, they put it to you in the ACC title game. They are a desperate football team right now to keep their name and their image irrelevant. You've got to take them down. And that means being aggressive. That means Kevin Jennings being aggressive with his legs, being aggressive with his arms, using your backs and your receivers and spreading out that secondary of Clemson. If Clemson gets going, I don't know if your defense can hold them up very long because that defense definitely has taken a toll and they're not exactly there. You look at the shootouts they've had versus TCU and the high scoring games in the Baylor game, they eventually wore down. You've got to be able to play on your terms and dictate the pace of the football game. You're going to get some turnovers. Klubnik right now has 5 picks. He has 6 in all of 2024, and that's 14 games. He's going to throw you a ball or two. You've got to make sure you hold on and get after him with some sacks. He has played scared all year. There's definitely some opportunities, but you have to be able to take advantage of him defensively and not let Clemson get any motivation. This game's going to be wild. 31, 34, 31 ball game. There's going to be tons of points. But at home, I can't bet against Clemson. The Tigers are going to win a wild one, 34-31. Clemson will survive. But this is going to be a battle all through the fourth quarter, and people are going to be sitting on their fingernails on the entire way home.
Fresh, last year we asked Kevin Jennings to kind of change what his game plan is because we were starting to get worried about him. He brought up the point about how he's not running with his legs as much this year. But you think about it, that he's staying in the pocket and he's passing the football. He's completing at a higher rate. He's at 5% higher rate right now. He's at a 65% rate and change. Now he's at a 71% completion rate. He's almost up to 72% if you look at it there. He's completing more from the pocket, but I also think that that's going to increase his amount of interceptions because of how much time he is staying in his pocket. He's not bailing out. He does have to make the right read here as well. So I got to applaud the kid for doing that. Unfortunately, I just have this feeling I want to choose SMU in this football game. I want to pick the Mustangs to win this football game. I'm looking at Chris Johnson Jr. and TJ Harding, what they did last week combined against Stanford. I love to think that run game can continue to produce that level of pressure on this Clemson defense. I want to believe that Kevin Jennings can run all over the place. I want to believe that the Mustangs can continue to get after the quarterback. 19 sacks on the year. Cameron Robertson has 4.5 sacks right now. He's got a couple of passes defended, so he'll drop back there in coverage. That kid's forcing fumbles. That kid's a beast over there at the defensive end spot for the Mustangs. I want to choose SMU, and I know what's going to happen. Clemson, like the undead zombie that they are, and whatever weird voodoo Death Valley magic they're going to produce is going to rise from their grave, dust themselves off, walk down there trying to, eat the Mustangs here, and they're going to win this football game just to tick me off. Just to make me mad, Dabo Swinney is going to figure out a way to pull Clemson off of the mat and win this football game as much as I want SMU to win. Because Clemson, here's what they're talking about in that locker room. I guarantee it they're saying this. We beat SMU. They're undefeated in ACC play. They're 4-2. Next week, we got Duke. Duke is undefeated in ACC play. And they got a big-time game against Georgia Tech. And then we got Florida State. Florida State, everyone will still be living off of their win over Alabama, but it's it's a fraudville right now. If we can win those 3 games, we'll get a chance at the playoffs. No, you won't. You shouldn't. You shouldn't be rated in the top 25. You are a fraud. You are a joke, and you are in a graveyard for your playoff hopes right now. But you know what? That's what they're going to say. That's what they're going to think. The media is going to run with that story, and it's going to be absolutely ridiculous because Clemson is the biggest load of frauds in all of college football this year, and they are hot garbage of a team.
Clemson gets ranked. Are you going to say ACC bias?
Yes, absolutely. I will say ACC bias because people want to rank Clemson. They want this. It's a logo. They want people to love Clemson. And again, because Dabo Swinney is a good interview, he's a good media member, he's a good person. They'll give you some quotes to it. He can put his ugly mug on TV. I don't know. Clemson's just going to win this game, man. It's going to annoy the heck out of me. And they're going to win it by 10. Watch. It's going to be like an impressive. I'm picking with my heart. I'm picking SMU. I want SMU to win this football game, but I just know how these things work out. I'm picking in Clemson. My head tells me pick Clemson because they're going to tick you off. But I'll tell you, in our recap show, if SMU pulls this off, oh man, I'm going to tear into Clemson so bad. I'm hoping, mark your calendar, subscribe to the channel just to hear me tear into Clemson if they lose this football game.
Stay tuned, folks.
I'll give you a reason to subscribe right now. So make sure you hit the subscribe button up there. Get notified when I drop that too. Especially watch that Clemson game because I'm just going to rip into them. All right, first, let's go to a team that I'm probably not going to rip into here. This is a 4 o'clock game. Sneaky good one. I'm curious to see if Sam Leavitt suits up in this football game. We're still a little early in the week here. The Texas Tech Red Raiders, 6-0 on the year, 3-0 in the Big 12. They're going to face the Arizona State Sun, 4-2 on the year, 1 in the Big 12. Arizona State lost last week to Utah, but they didn't have Sam Leavitt. And we know that that's the quarterback for this team is going to be the straw that stirs the drink. Texas Tech, though, Morton did get banged up in that game last week. So we got a little bit of quarterback questions here. Right now, Texas Tech, 9.5 road favorite. Over-under is set at 50.5. I would be curious to take the over if both these quarterbacks play.
Well, first off, I'm sure Big Noon Kickoff is actually kind of upset because if Arizona State had won last week or Leavitt had played, Jeff Sims didn't just crap the bed, they'd be in Arizona right now for a Texas Tech-Arizona State game. We were looking at this matchup a long time ago, and that quarterback issue really, that team changed. Very similar to when Jordan Travis left that Florida State football team in 2023, the offense was just different. Now, that defense for Florida State then was much better, tremendously much better than the Arizona State product. And that's where that kept them in that conversation. This is a very short preview for me. Texas Tech's defense is absolutely dominant. Absolutely, hands down, dominant. That front seven is ridiculously good. Nationally, they're really good. In terms of what they have in the Big 12, they're the best front seven. They will dominate any offensive line that's brought against them. If Leavitt plays, Arizona has a chance. If Sims plays,
it's over.
There's not a chance. You might have to get all the quarterbacks get some wind sprints. They're going to be running a lot. Morton, At some point, if he's left 3 games this year, and if they want to go somewhere in a national stage, he's got to be healthy. Because I don't trust the backup quarterback. Because I don't even know who he is. And I don't think the team knows that if they had to a point where they have to win a game with a quarterback, Morton's going to have to do it. Nobody else in that roster is ready to take that job over. So it might be smart if you're up early and your defense is playing well to just play the backup, get him experience, and let Morton rest. Texas Tech's going to win this game. I think they're going to win this game by double digits, especially if Levitt's not playing. If Levitt is playing, Texas Tech win by touchdown. If Levitt's not playing, they win by 2 touchdowns. This Red Raider team, they need to keep the blinders on and stay focused on the goal. Their goal right now is to go win a Big 12 title and host a playoff game in Lubbock. They're going to get one of the top 4 seeds. But just keep it in front of you. You have BYU coming up later. You have Cincinnati, I think, coming up in the schedule. But things are in front of you. You have a chance to really take and dominate. Don't get distracted day to day. Execute play by play and just win. Just win. Quit out Davis. Just win, baby. You have the talent defensively. Your offense can go out there and put up 20 points. You'll be just fine. Get yourself in the playoff, and then whatever happens, happens. If you start reading your press clippings, you're going to get beat. And it might be by Arizona State with Sims or Levitt. It might be by somebody else. You have to maintain discipline. Because right now, everyone else is looking at you as like, yes, you have a great defense. Show me the offense. Or you just the yeah, but mentality. We're waiting for the other shoe to fall. Keep doing your thing. Maintain your focus. And you'll be just fine making the playoff. You spend all that money. It's time for the return on investment for the boosters. Texas Tech big.
All right, Chris. So Sam Levitt did practice early this week here. He did take first team reps, so it looks like he is on track to play. Morton for Texas Tech is listed. The latest update says he is day to day. So take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Lower body or upper body injury.
Yeah, he does have a hyperextended right knee is what it says right now. Will Hammond is the backup for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. If Morton doesn't go in this game, I do like Arizona State's chances a whole lot more. Again, they're going to be at home going up against the backup. But let's talk about the Texas Tech Red Raider defense here. The thing that people are going to miss, because everyone's going to take a look at the amount of sacks that they have already this quick into the season. In 6 games, 21 sacks already on the year. You're averaging over 3.5 sacks a game right now. But you take a look at what they're doing in their ability to force turnovers. Not only are they able to pressure the quarterback, especially get after him and chase him down, they're forcing the quarterbacks to make bad decisions. They are hitting guys when they get the football and forcing fumbles here. This team is +6 in the turnover differential right now. They have 8 interceptions, 5 fumble recoveries. They forced 8 of them there as well. So not only, again, that pressure, the ability to take away the football, that's what makes them a different style of football team than what we normally see in the Big 12. Because when we look at Big 12 teams, we normally think great offenses, absolute burning bag of dog poop on Halloween level of defenses. It's called poop. But this Texas Tech defense is way different here. This is a way different team. This isn't Frankenstein. This is Frankenstein. Okay? They put this team together, and it is a monster of a team. Morton's got to stay healthy, Fresh. He has got to stay healthy. If Arizona State wants, if Levitt plays in this game, I'm intrigued to see how Jordan Tyson does against this Texas Tech secondary. And I'm intrigued to see if Levitt has time to throw the ball. That's going to be their one way to do it. Raleek Brown has done well in the rushing attack, taking over for Scadaboo. But I don't think he's getting 6.3 yards of carry in this football game. I'm going to go Texas Tech no matter what here. But if this game, we find out later in the week Morton's not playing this game, give me Arizona State in the points.
Interesting. I think it's a big also, we're in that time. Kenny Dillingham, your offense, we expect to see points. Yeah, if this is a game, you're going to have to really coach up your quarterback and make sure that your passes are efficient, because that pass rush is going to be lethal. You have 2 seconds. You don't have time for deep routes to develop. You've got to have the quick. I see a lot more screen passes and bubble screens from Dillingham this week to sort of offset that pass rush and put the players in space and the defensive backs for Texas Tech to make a tackle.
All right, Fresh. Let's go to one of the big time. We have 3 big time rivalry games to close out week number 8 here. The first one is going to be down there in Tuscaloosa. The Tennessee Volunteers, third Saturday in October, they are going to face the Alabama Crimson Tide here. It's been a who can win at home as of late. Last 4 meetings, the home team has won. Right now, Alabama is an 8.5-point favorite in this game. Alabama has been a team possessed. They did take the best shot from Missouri, but they survived in this. Alabama reminds me of a classic 1980s, early 90s horror movie stalker here. We're in Halloween. They're Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, and Freddy Krueger. No matter what you do, it feels like they rise up and just continue to come after you, as well as they stalk the rest of the SEC right now. I'm worried about Tennessee. Tennessee, again, is a very good team. They are a very good team, though. It doesn't mean they're bad. What do you got for Tennessee versus Alabama?
Well, first off, the Bama Revenge Tour. They got revenge versus Vanderbilt. They got Vols here, and they got Oklahoma in a couple of weeks. Ty Simpson in that offense, the Proctor thing is just amazing. The Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams is kind of, everyone else is playing at a high level, so it's not just like, oh, it's Ryan Williams. He used to be 17, now he's 18 years old. They're getting contributions for everyone. And this is a Ryan Grubb, Kalen DeBoer have really coached those boys up and got them in a good spot. And that offense is just lethal. But the defense also in Womack is playing at a high rate, which, they can take some chances because I know that offense is going to be able to score some points. They tackle well. They are physical. And I think this is it's scary, but Jason and those stalkers, like Alabama's still alive and you can't kill Bama. The 4 last year, we're like, they're dead. No, they're not. They just took a nap. They're a machine. And in Tennessee, you're going to have to withstand the machine. This game is not in Rocky Top. You don't have people singing that stupid song. You don't checkerboard the whole stadium around, running out of the tee. You're going to Tuscaloosa. And you won last year, and Nico it was an ugly game. Nico made some plays. Is Joey Aguilar going to handle the environment? The last time you guys were there, you got to an early lead. It was 13-0, and then you choked. You peed down your leg, and you lost to Alabama and Jalen Milroe. You probably shouldn't have, but you did. How is mental fortitude of this football team going to be able to handle it? Last week versus Arkansas, this is supposed to be the payback game. You guys choked it last year in Fayetteville. Arkansas's coming in. Bobby Trino's first game after the firing. You win by 3. Where was the environment? You're supposed to come out and dominate. This Tennessee team, it seems like the fans do all the talking, but the team barely backs it up. How are you going to be able to grow up and go on the road and be in a hostile situation and be able to take on a very, very good Alabama football team and defend your win last year, try to win 2 in a row, which you haven't done in decades? This is a big moment for Josh Heupel and that Volunteer football team. Where's your mental capacity at? Where's your toughness at to be able to go and play 60 minutes in Tuscaloosa at night in battle? This is not, if you lose this, that's 2 losses now. If you're done. You're not going to be once a playoff contender at that point. Your fringe elements are going to fade. Your 2 best teams you had to play on your schedule, Georgia and Alabama, you lost to. And you choked with Georgia. So this is a statement game for the Tennessee Volunteer football program. Are you truly able to contend? Because right now, after last year's embarrassment in the playoff and your 2 biggest games this year, if you lose to Alabama, you have to show up. And you have to be able to tackle and play at a high level, tackle in space, and make plays on third down. Joey Aguilar, when you were at App State, this is your biggest road test. Looking back, when he was at App State, he did not play in the game versus A&M when they won. He was not the quarterback then, so don't think that happened. In 2024, he was at Clemson, and in 2023, he was at North Carolina. The game at Clemson, 18 for 41, 214 yards, 43.9% completion percentage, 1 touchdown, 1 sack with App State at Clemson. When he played at North Carolina, 22 for 43, 275, 51% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Those are terrible numbers. Yes, you were playing at App State. Those are terrible numbers in a hostile environment. So that's North Carolina and Clemson. You're going into Alabama. You've got to be mentally tough to be able to handle what's about to come to you because this Alabama team, Alabama fans hate Tennessee. They do not want to sit there and lose 2 in a row. They're going to apply pressure and they're going to want to smoke cigars at the end of the day. you've got to be fully ready to handle this challenge if you want to be able to survive. If not, the season for Tennessee could fall apart pretty quickly. I think Alabama is going to put the boots to the balls. I don't think this is going to be close. I think it's Kalen DeBoer's chance to really put it down on him and so get his first win in this rivalry because he didn't have it last year. He needs a chance to get a little payback. So I see Alabama win big over the Tennessee Volunteers. I will say 2 touchdowns. They'll cover 14.
Wow, they'll cover. That's a lot of points to cover. One thing makes me nervous for Bama. Fresh, I'm with you. Alabama revenge tour. I'm buying in on it. I'm buying in on what I've seen from Ty Sampson. Jam Miller has been a very nice addition coming back from that injury now. You have Ryan Williams isn't even their leading receiver. And they've handled themselves very, very well. One thing, though. I still remember Ty Simpson running for his life from the Florida State pass rusher. I remember at times Georgia being able to get after the quarterback in their game in Athens. I remember Missouri having some success, getting some pressure through that offensive line. Tennessee is able to do one thing really, really well right now, and they can pressure the quarterback. They can get after it. 26 sacks on the year already. Doesn't even include the amount of time that they've gotten back there and done some quarterback hits and gotten some pressure, what type of pressure rate they have. This is the only way Tennessee keeps it close. You spoke at length about Aguilar. You spoke about what Heupel can do in this game. This is the only way Tennessee will even make this a ball game is if they can get up the middle against Ty Simpson in the A or B gap there. They're able to force him to stay in the pocket or be able to get home on him. If all of a sudden we see Alabama in 3rd and long situations at home, there may be something into them. And this could be a prime game because that Missouri game took a lot out of the Alabama Crimson Tide. This could be a letdown game. Or we see the revenge tour carry on. We see the pissed off Kalen DeBoer who wants to get a giant Churchill cigar, light that thing up in the middle of Bryant-Denny Stadium there. Technically, it's not a smoking zone, I think, in the stadium, but I don't think anyone's going to really say anything. Yeah, make exceptions for it. Again, I'm with you. I think that this is going to be a tough game, but if we wake up Sunday morning and we look back and are reflective of this game, if Tennessee pulls off the upset, it's because they were able to pressure the quarterback. It's because we're going to sit there and talk about where was Caden Proctor? Where was this Alabama offensive line to open up running lanes and to protect Ty Simpson? And all of a sudden we see, Ty Simpson ducking and covering like it's a 1950s atomic bomb commercial. Okay? Yeah, exactly. You stand duck and cover and, you'll be fine. I think Alabama wins this going away. I don't know if I'd be willing to say 14. I can easily see double digits in there. So 2 touchdowns, maybe not too crazy. But again, there's that one sneaky stat that I could say, man, this could really haunt Alabama by the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to learn how to run the football. But don't put the game in Aguilar's hands. Run the ball, use your running backs, use your offensive line. If you put him back there and have to try to have him win it, it's not going to end well. Because he's going to be running for his life. Eventually, that Alabama defense will step up. And I do appreciate and respect your opinion about the Tennessee pass rush because that is a way Alabama has shown to be a little porous in the offensive line from pass pro perspective. So if they can keep it close, that pass rush exists. If they can get down early, that pass rush becomes null and void because Alabama's going to leave the running game on. You have to attack in full force from the very beginning and be the aggressor. And if not, you're going to be in trouble.
It's final. I feel like this rivalry is finally back to a level where it's respectable again. And we're, like you said, we finished off with 3 phenomenal rivalry games right now. The USC Trojans picked up a huge win last weekend. The Wolverines were ranked by AP voters. Again, that's off-season content about how terrible AP voters are. But USC dominates the football game. They win big time there. Notre Dame, 2 losses, but to 2 teams that a lot of people would argue are 2 of the better teams in all of college football right now, with the Hurricanes and the Texas A&M Aggies there. And both those losses were very close. Notre Dame has picked themselves off the mat. They've rolled 4 straight since starting 0-2. We talked about when Notre Dame went to 0-2, we kind of left them for dead. And we said, where was that next big-time win going to present itself? Where along their schedule was it going to be? Around the idea of a couple different programs as well. Well, but USC is proving to be that big-time program. This is in South Bend, Indiana. Right now, Notre Dame is a 9.5-point favorite in this football game. We got to give USC some credit because they are doing what we thought they weren't going to be able to do, and they've looked respectable doing it. And Marcus Freeman proving again to us that he is one of the best young coaches in college football after getting his team off the mat after a 0-2 start. What do you got for this rivalry here, Fresh?
For USC, this is the show me game. This is the show me game for Lincoln Riley and for the USC Trojans. Their defense has played significantly better this year than the past. You've seen a definite impact there. Maeva has been a very, very productive quarterback. If you actually want to go by the QBR stuff, he's the best quarterback in the country, or at least top 5. He's been very efficient. There's a reason why in the portal he originally went to Georgia, and then when the opening came at USC, he's like, Familiar Moss left, he went to USC, and I don't blame him for it. He had a great, solid play at UNLV beforehand and got them into that conversation last year. So he is explosive. His legs kind of reminds me of a Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield mentality of what Lincoln Riley was successful with. His quarterbacks aren't just passers. They are dual threat beasts. And if he can play at a high level and guys can get the ball and they can run the ball a little bit, they're going to be okay. But this is a show me game for USC. The last time we saw USC come to Notre Dame, Al Golden and that defense has them for Caleb Williams. And they shut down all the hype. The whole hype train was derailed in Gary, Indiana on the way to South Bend. We're going to know all about USC in this game. I really can't predict anything because Notre Dame has shown it. USC needs to show me. Notre Dame's defense is growing pains so far this year. They had the first 2 games they played controversially, lost to Texas A&M. Things happened. They had a big lead early on A&M and they kind of let it go. They came back at Miami. CJ Carter's grown up and shown me a lot of things so far this year. The way this team has bounced back and won good solid amount of games after that 0-2 start. I actually have them ranked in my top 25 the way they've shown and the way they handled Boise State last week. They played good football and those losses are looking better. You lose a 1-point loss at home versus A&M and you lose 3 much more competitive game to Miami. They're a good football team. You're at home here. Come out and do what you do. This is going to be the best team that USC's played all year. You're going to have to be able to just, as USC mentality, be the Trojans, be aggressive, be physical, be tough. Because Notre Dame's going to punch you in the mouth. Notre Dame may not have all the flash, but they are a tough football team. Marcus Freeman has them tackle well, has them cover well. Their offensive line is always efficient, and they're going to run the ball downhill. In the end, it comes down to the quarterbacks. Which one's going to be able to grow up and make a big boy play in the fourth quarter when it matters? Notre Dame is more battle tested, and Notre Dame is the reason, and that's the reason why Notre Dame is going to win this ball game. They are going to win 24-21. And they're going to be more, that fourth quarter, they have learned the pain and they have shown up in the past. They're going to be able to prevail this time. USC is going to look much more impressive. I don't think it'll probably come away impressed with them, but in the end, Notre Dame is much more battle tested. And that is going to prove dividends on Saturday night in South Bend. Irish win, but USC, they'll be much more competitive than years past with the Irish.
This game's going to mean a lot to Notre Dame because if they do lose this game, and their playoff hopes are pretty much dead. And again, they've looked impressive, and they're going to be desperate. If they're not dead, they're on a drastic life support with it. USC is the opposite. I think that they could afford to lose this game because you still have, right now, next week you're going to follow it up with a game against Nebraska. And then you got Oregon at the end of the year. You still have a couple of opportunities to win a big-time game to impress the committee members and see how everything else in the Big Ten shakes out. And you can find yourself sitting in the 11, 12, 13 spot there where you're right on the outside of the playoffs looking in. USC has those opportunities still in front of them. Notre Dame does not. So this game is going to mean a ton to Notre Dame there. There's one matchup here, Fresh, that I can't wait to see this one. Makai Lemon. This kid is one of the best wide receivers in all of college football right now. At this moment, production-wise, I would put him as, if we were doing a mid-season All-American team, Makai Lemon would make my mid-season All-American team. Okay? Do I think he's the best wide receiver in college football? No, I don't think that. I still think Mr. Jeremiah Smith still holds that title and will probably hold that title until he goes to the NFL. But again, when you look at his ability to produce, Makai Lemon's been one of the best there. I can't wait to see him matched up against Leonard Moore for Notre Dame. Because Notre Dame's going to play, and they're going to make a big deal about this no matter where you're watching, whether you're watching Big Noon, whether you're watching Game Day. They're going to talk about how Notre Dame plays so much man coverage defense there. And Leonard Moore is going to be matched up against Makai Lemon. And I'm wondering if Lincoln Riley can figure out a way to maybe put him up against Christian Gray on that secondary as well, move him around, maybe get him on a linebacker and let that speed take off. Because if they're able to do that, that's going to open up opportunities for Jordan Maeva in that passing game there as well. So how does Notre Dame's defense, how do they confuse Makai Lemon, who is going to be USC's number one option? Wayman Jordan's going to have to run the football for USC. And you're going to have to run the ball successfully, something that a lot of people have not been able to do as of late against this Notre Dame defense there. The defense has gotten a lot better. I think we are on track for an instant classic USC Notre Dame game. I'm talking Reggie Bush, Brady Quinn level instant classic. Talking about some of the greatest rivalry games that these two teams have played here as well. Give me Notre Dame as well, because I trust Marcus Freeman, and I think that they know how much this game is going to mean to them. But I'm going to say this, Fresh. If USC can make this a classic game, and again, give them as long as they can beat the 9.5 point spread. Beat the 9.5 point spread. Don't lose by double digits to Notre Dame. I'd be willing to say that USC has got it together and they are going to be a force to be reckoned with for the rest of the season in college football. That is my level of, this is the goalpost that you have to cross for me.
Well, you know something else that's interesting about this game? Not that I believe it's going to happen, but if Notre Dame loses, that's 3 losses.
Yep.
And Penn State has an opening. Florida's probably going to have an opening. The rumors of Marcus Freeman leaving start heating up. There has been rumors of him having issues with academic standards getting into Notre Dame. Every coach does.
Mm-hmm.
They're all rumors, but then that becomes the narrative around the program that you start having to deal with as well. So there's a lot going on in the landscape here. And it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Because Marcus Freeman's name is going to be on the short list for any head coach opening. But again, you're going to have to make, outside of the academic standards, you're not going to find a place that has better facilities, better fans, more tradition than Notre Dame. From the elite again, you could hate Notre Dame with all your guts in the entire world. It is you cannot deny, they are one of the elite programs. Programs are different than performance. Yep. Program's different than performance, folks. Let's remember that. But they take care of their athletic program there. But again, you have a good point there. If he's having some issues with the academic standard, not being able to get the kids in, we'll see here. We'll see. Because that Penn State job is maybe just a notch below where I would consider Notre Dame to be at.
Yeah, even though he also in that argument now, Notre Dame not having a conference. How many ranked opponents do they get? They have to dictate their schedule. They don't have the conferences. There's a whole argument going on of where do you align yourself for more success. So we'll see. I think Notre Dame wins anyway, but it's a narrative that's out there. Now it's coaches getting fired at other roles and what job become distracted, what booster wants to pay up enough money. All these things come into play.
All right, folks, let's go to our last rivalry game of the weekend here. If you don't have social media, if you don't have the X or anything where you can find fans trash talking each other, you need to get it just for this weekend to see the amount of trash talk between Utah and BYU in the Holy War. One of the most underrated college football rivalries in the entire landscape here. These two programs beat each other. And I mean, this is the same level of hate almost as Auburn, Alabama, the Buckeyes and the Wolverines, the Gators and the Bulldogs. This is a weird level of hate, folks, and it's a great thing to watch. BYU is going to think that they're better than the people that go to school at Utah. Utah is going to think that they are absolutely out of their mind to attend BYU. And we sit back, we soak it all in fresh, and we just enjoy the ride here. We enjoy how this shakes up college football, man. I'm actually just excited just to see these two teams go against each other because it is usually a really good football game too.
I mean, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard on Fox. But big new kickoff is going to be live there at 8 a.m. in the morning local time, Mountain Time. So it's going to be, all eyes are going to be on Provo. There'll probably be some code violations going on. It's probably why game day didn't go there because McAfee would probably be in violation of the honor code by about noon on Friday. It's probably all for the best in that case. These two teams, these programs hate each other. It's it. The BYU is that other religious centered school out like Notre Dame who doesn't have the international, as much of a strong international following, but they're pretty large. In Utah, the Utes, that fan base in the state, they hate BYU with a burning passion. It's the reason why I call it the Holy War. It is a brawl, y'all. And Saturday night, last year, Utah's football team was struggling, and they gave BYU all they could handle, and there's no love lost. And we're going to see it on Saturday, just another installment. First, we look at the Utes. They've already had their first beat fight with Texas Tech. Through about 2.5 quarters, they were in there, and then just the bottom just fell out. BYU really hasn't been tested. So we're going to find out who the Cougars really are on Saturday night. Devin Dampier for Utah, 118 for 165, 1,100 yards, 71.5% completion percentage. I mean, they move the football. 11 touchdowns, 3 picks, 3 sacks. He's also the Utes' lead rusher. 65 carries, 378, and 5 touchdowns. The Utes in this game are going to need more from Nakari Rogers and Wayshawn Parker. Parker, 52 carries, 335, and averaging 6.4 and 3 touchdowns. Rogers, 71 carries, 298, 4.2 and 6. Those two guys are going to have a real significant impact in taking the pressure off of the NBA because that Cougar defense is relentless and they are fast and they tackle. You're going to have to be able to have a 3-headed monster in that backfield for the Utes to punish BYU. If not, he's going to potentially run for his life after a pass rush, getting hit, and the ball game could evolve in a different way for BYU. So you have to be able to run the football for Utah, be more physical, and play great defense, and allow that running game to dictate the pace of the football game. BYU's a machine. The freshman quarterback, though, Bear Bachmeier, how is he going to handle the environment? If this was at Utah, I'd be really worried. Being in Provo is going to be able to help him a lot. He's 91 for 144, 1,200 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, 3 picks, 5 sacks. The freshman quarterback, so some inexperience, some sacks taking them. But he also has 71 carries, 295, and 7 rushing touchdowns. He's proven so far, but this is the biggest game he's going to be in all year. How is his mentality going to be able to handle the focus, handle the pressure, handle the anxiety, handle the excitement? Down to down. It's going to be a 60-minute fight. You're going to have to be able to keep your calm and be aware of just maintaining first down, getting the third downs, maintaining down distance, and don't get caught up in the excitement. LJ Martin should help him. 101 carries, 652, 6.5 yards a carry, and 4 touchdowns. If he's there, they're going to be in great shape. One kind of receiver that had a great last year in Chase Roberts. I've been more of a big play guy this year. I want to see him be much more consistent in the passing game. He does have 22 receptions for 420 yards, averaging 19 yards a catch and 3 touchdowns. I want to see him become much more involved in that passing attack and not just a big play threat. BYU's going to be able to carry this one forward and really put the hammer down. I don't really think either of these teams have truly beaten anyone. That's why this game even means more. They have wins, but this is going to be that one win that puts them on the national stage. I have both of them ranked in my top 25, rightfully so. I think BYU is at 15. If BYU could get this win, that puts them and Texas Tech in that conversation. It really gives them a major leg up in that ride toward the Big 12 title game. The two of them will play later. If Utah wins, that puts the Big 12 back into a nice little smorgasbord of talent, and also announces that they're still there. The better coach in this game is Kyle Whittingham. Mm-hmm. The better team, I think, right now on paper is BYU. How will those two elements come into play? How will Bachmeier be able to handle the different schemes that Whittingham and that defense are going to throw at him? How can Dampier, who has had success at New Mexico last year and shown some flashes, be able to handle the hostile environment that he has not had up against before when he goes to Provo? The storylines are there. There are going to be things being said from a lot of people. A lot of honor code violations being happened from the crowd may or may not be able to be heard or pointed out directly, but things are going to be there. You're going to have to be able to handle your emotions, take a deep breath, one play at a time. If you get too overwhelmed, you are going to let the moment take advantage of you. You don't have to win the game by 20. You just have to win the game. And whoever has more points at the end, and that's how you win rivalry games. It's not about blowing your opponent out. It's about winning the game. You're going to have to go through ups and downs and fight through the battles. I've gone back and forth from this one a lot today. And you kind of look at that game versus Texas Tech when Utah knew they were in it, gives them some confidence that they can play at a high level. But this game's in Provo, and I got to go with the Mormons. Give me the BYU Cougars, 27-20. Play themselves in a great spot to have an at-large bid in the playoff by getting this big-time win versus Utah. It's not just a rivalry game. It's not just a logo win. It's a playoff resume win for BYU. And I think they get it done on Saturday night.
Fresh. Bear Bachmeier. I mean, this kid has just been outwardly for the Cougars. And I am so intrigued to see what Whittingham has ready for him. What type of look is he going to see in this football game that he hasn't seen before? And again, you brought up a great point. Utah has the advantage coaching. I look at BYU's schedule. Great defensive coach. Take a look. BYU went into Boulder. They beat Coach Prime. Okay, I know that there's NFL level talent on that coaching staff. He managed the football game and was able to carve up the Colorado defense that game there. West Virginia, take me home country roads with Rich Rod retread. Again, West Virginia did come in and put up points against the Cougars in that game there as well, and they don't have anything as well. It's interesting because BYU does struggle at times with a ranked quarterback, and I wonder also how Devin Dampier is going to handle this BYU defense. He doesn't have the LJ Martin. Yeah, people are going to look at Wayshawn Parker, but doesn't have the carries. Macquarie Rogers, not impressed me much there as well. So he's going to have to throw the football against BYU here as well. I will keep this brief because I think this game, the rivalry, you just got to sit back and enjoy it. Like I said, you sit back, you soak in the trash talk, you soak in the pageantry, you soak in the entertainment that's going to happen to you in a rivalry game that is known as the Holy War. Utah's favored in this game. I think Vegas knows something we don't because I think every statistical piece points at us to tell us to take BYU. BYU has done this to us time and time again, and just like probably most Saturday nights for BYU males, you leave a little bit disappointed. I think at some point, the undefeated BYU Cougars are going to leave us disappointed on a Saturday night. Utah wins this football game. Again, I think this is going to be a great football game. I really, really do. But give me the Utes to pull off the big-time upset in Provo.
It should be a battle. If you're up that late, enjoy it. It's a fun game.
Yeah, I'll make sure I lock in on this one. I love this game. All right, Fresh, what you got? You got a quick pick for me? Where are you going early on this year? Or even early on this weekend?
First quick hit in the Big 12. Baylor at TCU. Both are 4-2. Both have had some nice wins. They played heavy. Just want to see which one wants to keep themselves alive in the Big 12 race and have a chance to play for a Big 12 title, fringe playoff spot. They can put together some wins. So a big game between the Baylor Bears and TCU Horned Frogs there in Fort Worth. And on top of quick hits, hit me up with one of your quick hits you have so far this weekend. I think you have something in the mountains.
I'm going out to the mountains, man. I'm going out to the Mountain West. Both teams 2-0 in the Mountain West. This is for control of the Mountain West. UNLV versus Boise State. Boise State has looked good at times, but they still do have those two losses. Right now, Boise State 11.5-point favorite in this football game. I think Vegas is pumping up that number. Give me UNLV and the points. I think this is a very good running Rebels football team.
Dan Mullen putting some work in there.
Yes.
My next quick hit, speaking of coaching, Florida State at Stanford, late 10:30 Eastern kickoff on ESPN. Florida State has not won an ACC game in almost 400 days. Their last ACC win was at Cal in September of 2024. This game is important to Mike Norvell, important to the Florida State program. If they can't go out there and get a W for Stanford, do we start asking the question, is the buyout worth it in Tallahassee? Because really, what has Norvell done? 2020 was bad. 2021 was bad. 2022, there was momentum with Jordan Travis. 23 was a fantastic year. 24, the bottom fell out. And it feels like this team, there's a lack of coaching and leadership after the first win. They let them get all too heavy and high, and they have just failed at Virginia. They failed versus Miami. They failed versus Pitt. Where is that leadership at? If they lose at Stanford, I think he's got to go. So a big, big game for Florida State and Mike Norvell on Saturday night. And speaking of Saturday, one more quick hit. Give me one.
All right, Fresh. We're going to the smart kids. It's Georgia Tech versus Duke. They're in Durham, North Carolina. Right now, they got a 1.5-point favorite for the Duke Blue Devils here as well. I'm searching for this one because Georgia Tech has looked so good at times to me. For my ACC title game pick, I love Georgia Tech. I love what they're doing there in Atlanta here as well. Haynes King, underrated quarterback, great ability, dual threat ability. I got the Yellow Jackets win this football game, but here's an opportunity for Duke. Duke pulls off this upset, and this would be an upset in my eyes, even though they are the favorite team. Duke is truly announcing that they are a player in the ACC. They would be 4-0 in ACC play, and we're going to have to talk Duke Blue Devil football soon.
Yep. So speaking of that game, for now my fresh picks, I'm 4-6 on the year after the Vols could not cover last week versus Arkansas. I'm taking actually Georgia Tech. I got plus 120. I'm taking Georgia Tech money line to win. Come off a bye week, going down there to Durham. Brett Key has a team focus. If they can go in there and take it coast, they go. There's an easy path to be undefeated and then playing Georgia in the Benz on Black Friday and lock themselves in the ACC title game and take on the Hurricanes. So again, the Texas Tech Liners, Georgia Tech Liners, one game at a time. Take advantage of it. I'm taking Georgia Tech money line plus 120 at Duke in my fresh pick this week.
Yeah, Fresh, I asked you a couple of weeks ago. I didn't see a loss on Georgia Tech's schedule for up until they play that Black Friday game. I love this Georgia Tech team. I was early on them. I think they're a great program here as well. So I love your fresh pick for this weekend. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is week number 8. Make sure you hit the subscribe button because you're not going to want to miss our recap episodes. You're locked in when we drop those because you never know what kind of rants, raves, or crazy coach firings we're going to have break in the middle of those to get our reaction. So if you haven't had a chance, go back to our previous episode, listen to our reaction because while we were recording, James Franklin loses his job. We kind of speculate on some coaches. And our surprise coach, the one that I thought no one else was thinking of, number 4 in the Vegas betting favorites. I know. I was shocked. I was like, I thought I was kind of like out there in that one, but we nailed it there, Fresh. So make sure you subscribe. We got college football content for you all season long, and we'll switch to other gears once the college football season is over. We're cruising through the month of first.
Everyone, sports.com, Spindle Sports Channel, spread the word at IR Confidence Pod on Twitter /X, at Spindle Sports on Twitter /X. Hit us up. Tell us what you feel. Spread the word. Engage with us. We want to hear from you. Can't wait to talk about and recap this week. But until next time, talk to you.